Hello, everyone. This is Mary Curick with Frontrunners Innovate, and I have a couple of gentlemen with me today that both of them are very much into, let's just say, technological advancement. Jeremy Bagwell is out of Florida, and he's a developer in the sustainable development space, and that means everything construction and then some on top of that. But new materials, technologically advanced sustainability systems having to do with energy consumption and that sort of thing. He'll share a little bit about himself in a minute. The other gentleman that you're seeing here is Karlos Walks, and he's the co-founder and CEO of XIQ, is what I'm calling it. So maybe it has a longer name, but that's what I think you shared with me earlier when we had a conversation. And he's based out of Atlanta, Georgia. So we have some Southern folks today, at least where we're located anyway, right? So Jeremy, I'm going to ask you to start because Karlos has a very unique product that he has been developing, and we want to get to that because I think it fits nicely in some of the let's just say development environments where you live in Florida. And I think you'll have some interesting questions, but let's talk to you first, Jeremy. Tell us a little bit about you. You're my co-host for the day. I want people to get to know you a bit. So you'll go ahead.
That's nice to be here. I appreciate the opportunity, Mary. Um, the last 10 years, I've been developing products out of Europe, bringing them here into the US, sustainable, technologically advanced products in the construction industry. We really are focused on creating better living environments and working environments. So most of our stuff that we're utilizing, we're trying to reduce the amount of energy needed to live comfortably and to work comfortably. We're trying to reduce the energy to deleverage off of the infrastructures. We want to create sustainable building environments, small cities, small communities that can start to grow, that are sustainable, that are healthy, that the air is healthy, that it's not taking a lot of energy, that our energy can be produced where the communities are. Here in Florida, we're building some communities, some multifamily that have no utility bills. We produce the energy there, and there are no utility bills. There's one bill, your rent, and everything is included. So, we really want to start changing our perspective and our perception on how we live in the world. And I think it starts with where we live, literally where we live. So that's a little bit about me and where my headspace is and what my focus is. And I've been very blessed to be able to start creating a team of people that have similar visions that are all kind of working to that same goal line.
Karlos, who was introduced to me by a fellow member of the, let's just say, business development community who thinks so well of you. He says you're probably one of the smartest young men he's come across in a long time. So Karlos Walks, you're an inventor of sorts. So you have an innovation that's really kind of changing some of the ways that transportation is happening. So share with us a little bit about your background and how you came to XIQ, how you came to developing this innovation.
Well, our team discovered that in the non-automotive space, meaning golf carts, LSVs, heavy equipment, watercraft, for example, they have a very rudimentary key system, and theft was the first big issue. They all use similar keys. And so we created a smart device that replaces the conventional key with a digital key. And our IP is centered on the connectivity of that device. So we convert these vehicles in three ways. First, we convert them from unsecured to secured, and then we convert them from dumb to smart by making them connected through our device. And because we can turn the phone into a key, we can create more opportunities for the users on those vehicles. Specifically in the context of this conversation, our device is software driven, as you can imagine, and we can apply it to serve different applications like sustainability, specifically in the transportation sector, especially when it comes to multi-use supportive neighborhoods, cart supported neighborhoods, just about anywhere that can utilize, especially these cart-like vehicles, as alternative transportations. One of the issues, many of the issues we want to attack is too much traffic, lacking of parking, opportunities to move away from using the car, especially for the short haul. We understand that the majority of people living in communities everywhere, most of their lifestyles are conducted within a 5-kilometer radius of where they live. Let's attack that by giving them options on their transportation by using these electric, agile, very powerful vehicles, but enabling them to do things like micro-mobility, sharing, and help support efforts like Jeremy in communities that he's building everywhere with these vehicles that can solve these problems. And I'll finalize my point with, I agree with Jeremy. Let's build upon existing infrastructures. Why do we need to produce before we start solving issues? Let's produce solutions so that people can have these options, and let's supplement the existing infrastructures with real solutions, but do it with existing technology that can move it so much faster. They're practical and they're real.
Yeah. Karlos, will you share a little bit about your background before you came into this?
I had a background in communications and entertainment before this. So for me, my focus has always been engagement. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a tech guy. I
You're not tech head.
I didn't grow up with a lot of toys, but we are a tech company, and our motto is, we like technology. However, we love people. So at the center of our development is the person. That's the center of our spoke. And what we want to do is enable people to do more with what they have. And we have this market that is technologically underserved, but we can enable so many more things. So my background in the entertainment industry and the engagement of people in communications has really helped me focus what I want to do with our company and to support efforts like the ones that Jeremy is engaging in.
You actually went through an incubator or something, didn't you, at one point,
Right.
and received some funding? Can you share a little bit about that?
We were successful in being selected for the global accelerator known as the Comcast NBC Sports Technology Accelerator. Like I said, we beat out a lot of teams, and we were very fortunate to be selected to have partners like NASCAR, Golf Channel, and to be able to identify problems that they were having that our technology could solve, that we would be able to partner with them. And because of these partnerships, it's generated other partnerships, especially in the smart cities, the watercraft markets, and so forth, especially with heavy equipment. And the things that we understand, the problems that we understand of the market, we know that we have something to bring to the table, especially when it comes to sustainability. We want to use the fact that we've created a device that can not only retrofit existing vehicles, but OEM as well, and bring software solutions to enable them to do more. And in this particular conversation, we're talking about enabling everyday users to have an alternative means of transportation that can challenge using the car and challenge the output of carbon emissions everywhere. And with partners
I
like
had written
Jeremy,
that down. I'm so glad you said that. Yeah.
with partners like Jeremy, hopefully, we can sit down and start to strategize, because we feel that we have something to offer.
Jeremy, thoughts?
Yeah, a lot of them.
That's good when that happens, because if Jeremy was quiet, I would be in trouble.
No, I there's a lot of, I hear a lot of opportunity there. The construction industry, one, I mean, because we have challenges in a lot of our developments when we're leaving some of our big equipment out there on somebody coming out and using it or tearing it up. I mean, that's a very big challenge, and it's something that we've been dealing with in the last couple of weeks. It's because the machinery has to be available for people. There's people that come out on the site that is deliveries and stuff, but you can't just leave keys places for people to jump in, because they will, and it's becoming more and more prevalent of people wanting to just come in and take joyrides. So that's absolutely something. Now, are you looking to actually create these vehicles, or do something like a black label with an existing vehicle maker, golf cart maker, and kind of, work together on those?
The latter, because you made a point about your philosophy of, why produce more when we can build on top of what we already have. The vehicles are there. the
Yep.
vehicles are built. So what we can provide, what we set out to prove and successfully proved was, first of all, there's a lot of those vehicles out there sitting, like Jeremy's talked about. It can retrofit. We've proven how to replace that key ignition with our device. That's the point of engagement with the vehicles, showing that integration was not only possible, but relatively easy because there are fleets of these vehicles out there. And third, most importantly, making it easy for OEMs to see a real opportunity to integrate this into their existing models and new models and have a plan of innovation. With Jeremy's situation, I'm so glad you pointed out the need and the value proposition that we bring. It starts with security. That's where we knew that was the first point of the battleground. Let's secure them because we knew that the keys were similar. And you have to do, here's something that I learned when we were first getting started. Someone in the heavy equipment industry said, you know why why you see things suspended from cranes? I said, no, I always wondered. He goes, it's not just because it's not fun. We don't like suspending stuff. It's to keep them secure so no one's going to drive off with them. And I said, really? You have to suspend it from 100 feet up in the air just to keep someone from driving off? Oh, yeah. So we knew that was the first thing. The second problem was not only theft of asset, but theft of time is another concept that we learned about. People using these vehicles off the clock, people on the site. You want to protect those assets. You want them being used properly and when they're supposed to be used. And because we introduced this digital technology that's connective, we can tell you what that user's doing with that vehicle, whether it's on the site, around your home, on the course, on the water, you name it. We're about that non-automotive space.
Well, that's a great point because it's not just the time that they're using it, it's the amount of time that's taking off for the amount of time that vehicle has of a good life, because they only last so long, even when they're maintained correctly.
Bingo.
They only last so long, especially in the construction industry, because they're already driven hard. People are already not taking care of them like they should in a certain way. So you really have to mitigate the amount of time that's being used.
I'm really glad that a professional like yourself in this industry can really reinforce what I'm saying as we've paid attention. We've learned a lot. We've been in this market and we've listened to our customers. That we have ideas, plenty of them. We have visions of how we should use it. But the first group we listen to is the customer. And this is what we've been told, from the market. This is what the customers want to secure their fleets. This is what they want to know about their fleets. This is what they want to know about their ecosystems and environment. But more importantly, this is the opportunity that customers are seeing in corresponding markets. They see the connectivity in automotive. They see the connectivity in everyday products in the homes, but they're not seeing it in this underserved market like heavy equipment. And that's what we're here to do, bring that opportunity to this market. That's very important, especially when it comes to terms of development. Let's help you secure your vehicles with development, and then let's support the development. Let's support the people that live there with real solutions, especially in this transportation and these challenges that we face now.
So it's almost like when let's just say an Airbnb or something like that. So when you go in and you're able to do that. So with the vehicle, any type of vehicle.
You nailed it right on the head. And that's another point that we wanted to make. The market's sophisticated. They've seen it all. We're not trying to recreate the wheel in some sense. What we're doing is we're taking our technology and adapting a concept that has been very successful in, for example, real estate over here. And it brings me back to this market has been vastly underserved. And what we want to bring is opportunities like that. You, Jeremy, can see how easy it would be to envision being able to reserve these vehicles, to be able to have a seamless connection with them, to reduce the friction between users and users of those vehicles and accessing those vehicles. But at the same time, protecting the asset and giving the owners or the managers or the administrators of those fleets the opportunity to have more insight, more control over what's happening to those vehicles, especially in real time. That's what we're here about. And giving more options to communities, especially end users, to be able to purchase a device or use a device to enable their vehicle either to be used every day, to be shared, to have micro-mobility, or to have a fleet of them in a community where people don't have to use the cars for most of the time. I'm not saying cars are bad. I'm just saying there's time for answers. And that's what the world is looking for. What are the solutions? What are the options? Where can we go? What can we do? What is out there? And I'm saying these electric vehicles, they can do it. They just need to have the capabilities to adapt.
Carlos, I have a
Yes.
question. If you have like my cell phone attached to me, how does say a boss get where does the information go, the user data? I mean, it's going to be on my phone. That's my personal phone. Nobody's going to be able to tap into it. How do you get from, when you're looking at a fleet, how do you get that data into the hands of the administrator?
Cloud-driven data. The way it currently works is, I'll show you an example of our device. Here it is.
Oh,
No
okay.
bigger than my hand. Goes
Yeah.
into the key ignition, replaces that. Key ignition is gone. Now you have a digital PIN code that secures that vehicle. This is our first generation device. We call it the fleet key. Key is spelled QI because we're redefining what a key is. Kind of
Okay.
like a TV. It's kind of a TV commercial, right? It slices. It
I like
dices.
it.
Anyway,
I like it.
so your phone connects with this device. Our IP is on the connectivity of the device.
Yeah.
So the device speaks to the cloud, which speaks to an app once you're connected to
Okay. Gotcha.
our device.
And
Our
the
app-
boss can get into that app. So
Right.
it's not like it's just sitting on your phone, that data.
Right,
Right?
exactly. So now our next generation will enable the administrator, boss, whomever is managing a fleet, two ways of access: an easily accessible online dashboard so that they can get that information, that data on a more granular level that's a little bit more detailed. However, in the field, you may have field administrators, people that are managing those fleets in real time, managing the users. That is the capability via the phone for them to see, access, and dictate what kind of access the user may have to that vehicle. That's also important. So what we're saying is, because of our patented approach with the connectivity, we make the phone the key, and that changes the game. It tells you about the asset, but much further, it tells you about the user, which is very important. Two reasons: you know exactly what they're doing, and you can decide how much control you want them to have, and that's fair. Control is a scary word. However, in this situation, they're your assets. You should have more control over them and what users are doing with them. I think Jeremy would agree with that assessment.
Jeremy does.
Jerry does. Well, I'm thinking about, people who do have fleets of cars usually are also having to deal with mileage and that sort of thing. So I'm assuming that data would be available as well. So it would be real. Nobody has to sit there and fill out a form and saying, here was the mileage for my trip to wherever. And now it's validatable. It's right
Absolutely.
there.
And that's another thing that is that the type of visibility that's lacking in this market. The data points of how far, how long has it been on, how far has it gone, what is this, what are the behavioral patterns that this person is doing. The first step of the beachhead of this effort was being able to touch the vehicle. That was the hardest part. How do we touch the vehicle first so we can know about the vehicle? And then how do we touch the user? And we've proven on how to do that. And again, when we can touch the asset and touch the user, not only can we tell you, okay, this is how many hours this vehicle has been used or how far it's gone, but what's the user doing on it? Especially if they've rented it or reserved it. What are they doing? This is important with fleets. These are assets that are expensive. It's time to up the game, and we're here to do it.
So, Jeremy, from a standpoint of construction and development like that, but also from resort types of environments and communities that, especially in Florida, that in some communities, cars are banned. You literally have to have a golf cart. And a lot of island communities in Georgia, and I think South Carolina, they're like that. They're island communities, and you're not allowed to have, anything but a golf cart. What do you think about that sort of scenario?
I like it. So one of the things that the development group and some of the team that we're working with, we go in and we are looking at these older golf course communities and repurposing them. making them a transitional, let's say a transitional life community. They can come in, we redo the golf courses. They have, single family homes, but we are also putting in multifamily, putting in an ALF there. So when people live there, they're not having to, when they get to that certain age that they do need assistance, they're not having to go somewhere where their friends aren't around. We're trying to create these communities to where we think people will more thrive, that they can enjoy their lives longer because their friends are around, they're familiar with the areas, and I think that having something like this with golf carts and having things that do have that control, have that safety mechanism. And then what I'm also thinking is right now, a lot of our challenges with funding and with capital stacks, it's having the ability to execute, having the ability to be able to keep margins and to keep the money as safe as possible. And we have to, and that's a spectrum of areas that those margins can be increased or decreased.
Yeah.
And no, please go ahead.
I was going to add on top of that, but I don't interrupt. I want to have some points. I want to support what you're saying.
So what I was thinking is what's kind of going in my head is, having that control, having that knowledge of what is going on with the assets and knowing that they are being taken care of are ways that things can be controlled more in a funding aspect, in a growth aspect, because money is not being lost because assets are having to be rebought or having to be released. I think these are the small, it's small conscious decisions, right, Karlos? Small conscious decisions are what allows us to live differently. And I think these small things that are, like you said, that are coming on and being a add-on to something that is existing to mitigate some type of a challenge. It's creating a solution for issues that people didn't even know they had.
Mhm.
And I'd love to add to that. You made two really important points, the two F's, family and funding.
Mm.
And at the core of that, it's people.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's why our position is all about getting down to that person. On the family end of it, let's talk about two specific use cases when we talk about applications that enhance people's lives. The first one's on the family end. If you have a golf cart supported community, that may be a retirement community. Families would like to know how their parents are doing. Maybe they tend to forget where they're going. They'd like to be able to know their whereabouts. If they're called by their older father or grandfather and they don't remember where they are, they can know at a moment's notice their location and help them. This is like a ground level use case that has been talked to us, a real problem that families are concerned about, their elder parents and being able to support them with information that they're getting in real time. That's a specific use case that's all about the people, and they know about that important person in their life that is utilizing that vehicle in that community. Let's go over to funding. Again, specific use case, but it involves people. Jeremy, I know some of your pain because my co-founder lives in a golf cart supported community. And one of the things we talked about was you can put the funding into a planned infrastructure. And what always happens? People, they don't follow the plan. They do things. You can do things like you build pathway and you can build this that way, and this is great. And then people decide, you know what? I can shortcut through that person's backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Never saw that coming. But that's people. I didn't say people were bad. People are just people, and they're going to do what makes their life easier. Wouldn't it be great to be able to track behavior before you build? Or if you're going to add on to a community, know where people on these carts are going and say, we see people going there. We should build a path there rather than here that we thought we should, and save money, save funding, being able to maximize your funding and have that efficient there. So these are two specific use cases that we've learned in the market from real people that are having problems that mirror what you may be having, Jeremy. But again, this is our approach, listening to what the market's telling us, but also remembering it's still all about people. Still all about it. We talk about the assets a lot, but really we want to get down to what really serves people with our technology.
So dollar bills. Let's talk about what the cost of something like this is. If you're somebody who has a fleet of cars or some heavy equipment that's a construction situation, I know in each case it's a little bit different,
Mhm.
but let's just talk about a regular vehicle to put something like this on. What does it take to do it? How long does it take? And what is the normal cost for something like that?
Typical cost for our genuine device that is currently in the market is $299.99, as seen on TV. So $300 for electric carts. You can install it yourself. It works with the top 5 electric carts in the market currently. It's $350 for gas carts. Currently, we will introduce a newly designed device, hopefully upon funding later this year, where there will be more price points. We'll introduce a device that's not connected. Some people don't care about technology or connectivity or apps, and that's fine. We want to, so we, but they want to get rid of the key,
Yeah.
and they want to have the capability. Great. We want to find ways to include more of the demographic. Obviously, that's good for us, but we want to show that we're listening to people and not be so tech focused that we're not addressing the practical needs of end users, especially if they don't need that, but they like the utility and the problems that are solved with a simple security solution. So we'll be introducing a newly designed with a cheaper price point and more choices on price point with our devices.
I think it's great. You could do it. You could, install it yourself. I think
You
that's
can install it
amazing.
yourself.
And what does it take, like an hour or less?
Less. If you really know what you're doing, it could take as little as 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes.
Wow. Okay. So
we have a video to
bit of
prove it. So
equipment, like a screwdriver or something. Yeah.
right. And I usually the people that know what they're doing, they know how to install. So I won't give out that information, because then there are others that think, maybe I can go, with nefarious means.
Yes.
And we have plenty of stories of people. Like I said, people are people, and they sometimes have a different idea. But one of the questions we get is, there are always people that are the what ifs out there, right? And when we talk about security, there's always the person in the room that says, well, what if this, and what if that, and what if someone comes along and your device is on a cart, and they bring a flatbed truck along and want to put the cart on it and drive off? And I remind that person, well, first of all, theft is about speed and stealth. If they have the time to bring in a flatbed truck, they'll probably be taking a car too.
Yeah.
And they're caught. This is a situation where people with nefarious means, criminal activity, they look at the cart and they just go cart to cart to cart, and they look to see what's the easy prey. And they see this device on there, they're going to move on. So we've helped people save money for theft. But more importantly, there have been law enforcement people that use our carts that said, yep, you're correct. It's about theft and stealth. And that's what we want to create. And then build opportunities on efficiencies on top of that. So again, we listen to people. We listen to people when it comes to making our product and developing it.
So, Jeremy, do you have a final question or two? And then
How about regular vehicles, like regular cars and stuff?
Regular cars are great. However, regular cars, well, specifically, regular cars, automotive has a lot of technology, and that's great. Now, would we like to move in that direction? Someday. But we've got a lot on our plate to focus on this big market, because this non-automotive market in the aggregate, with all these vehicles, machines, watercraft, and heavy equipment, it outnumbers automotive almost 11 or 12 to 1. So there's a lot of opportunity here. But if the opportunity comes for automotive, great. But we see that automotive has plenty of technological and connective opportunity right now.
So watercraft, though.
Oh, watercraft is what we're really excited about.
Yeah.
Watercraft, you couldn't have hit the nail on the head harder. Watercraft is really looking for solutions. And again, when we talk about assets, people they think about vehicles. An asset is anything moving or standing that you own, you want to secure and protect. It's about the access to it, how you control that. So if it's watercraft, very excited. We have a partnership with a group out of Sweden, and we are looking at introducing that concept of shared mobility with boats, short-term rental with boats. As you know, that coastal communities are growing, but the roads aren't. And these coastal communities are looking for solutions to utilize the watercraft as transportation, as connected vehicles to support smart cities. These coastal areas have loads of marinas. It's time to look at the ground vehicles as an option, but why not look at the waterborne vehicles as an option too? They are vehicles, they can transport, and that's what we're here to support. I encourage everyone to look into, for example, the Smart Marina Blue Morpho project out of Monaco. We are talking with them about our technology and supporting their thoughts on enabling watercraft to be transportation. It's real. It's happening. Jeremy knows it. And when you're talking about materials and products and technology out of Europe, we're here to support it, and we're right there with you.
Yeah, I live in Florida, and I grew up on the water. My whole family are boaters. We all live on canals, and and that's why I was asking, because security, and availability, and not always having to have a key around. That's watercraft I see just as big as heavy machinery.
Well, let's talk
I mean,
about
I see
leisure.
those two huge.
Let's talk about leisure. Have you seen? I'm sure living in Florida, you've probably seen the Duffy boats.
I'm sure if I don't know the name.
This is what, again, we it's an exciting world, because we're constantly meeting groups that have, especially in watercraft, that tell us about all of these issues. Well, Duffy Boats is a great electric boat maker. They're pleasure craft that are large pontoon style boats, where people use them usually in the resort areas on controlled waters like lakes. They go no faster than about 5 or 6 miles an hour, but people use them to have dinner, enjoy an evening. There's thousands of them everywhere on lakes and water areas everywhere. Well, what's happening is people having a good time. They either get out on the water and oops, key drops in the water. What do? Can't start the boat. They have to go out and get them, or they forget the key altogether, or they lose the key before getting to the boat. Things like that. In this leisure situation, it's so much easier for a fleet manager of Duffy boats to issue a code so that people can use our technology to enjoy this electric boat for their evening. So the applications are very varied. And so in Florida, that's a big market for the Duffy boat. Look it up. It's a great pleasure boat. And just so people know that what I'm talking about is real. And we're here to help these sectors attack these challenges, whether it's leisure or security, convenience, and connectivity and so forth.
Or they leave the key halfway on to where it drains the battery.
You name it. And like I said,
sounds like you have that from experience, Jerry.
And it keeps coming, and it always, no matter, like I said, you talk about all this technical technology, it always comes back to people. Always comes back to what the person decides to do. Yeah. And that's what's funny. And people are funny and people are fun, and that's what this is all about.
Well, I think with everything, so I learned this when I was, bringing these products in. They were new products. So we have patents on our products, and it's new technologies. And I've learned that it's information, but not just information, but education on that information. Right. It's showing the why behind it. Not in my experience, and what me, it's not just, oh, you got to do solar. And I think those are why things don't really grow the way they're supposed to, is because they're like, you need to do this, but not the why behind it. Not right. This is what is going to benefit you. And this is why, if you change your perspective on this and you look at this at a different way, it's going to open up your world, right. And we will gain, and people will be a lot more applicable and willing to try these new things that will make life better.
I'm so glad you brought up the point of the why. Okay, because I think probably one of the most important things I could say in this interview is, what's our why, right? Because I'm sure Mary would say, all right, Karlos, XIQ, that's great technology and so forth, but what's your why? What drives you guys? And I could say our why is simply one word: people, engagement. Like I said, tech is great and developing is wonderful, but our why of why we develop the tech is we're thinking about the person. At the end of the day, we say, well, the phone's, it's the key, but really you are the key. And we're trying to address you and what you're doing. And the phone is our way of doing it. That engagement is at the heart of our why. So we say the person is squarely at the center of all the spokes of directions we can go. The person is at the center, at the
I like that.
point of that.
I like that. You have a patent?
Absolutely. We have a full 13-point patent on our connectivity
Yeah.
on our device, and we are approaching patenting our fingers crossed, our software platform and process of engaging the data.
How much longer do you have that patent?
Our patent it's early. We had it adapted, so it's probably got another 18 years on it.
Oh yeah, nice. That's about how long I still have. My
Yeah.
my cork one's about 17 years. So yeah, that's
we
a
had
good thing.
We had an amendment to it, and patent office allowed it, and so
Good.
it basically restarted the clock, which was like, oh, okay,
Perfect.
great, because it was at that point
Awesome.
it was about a year and a half, 2 years old, and they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, this we passed that, so they started the clock again, and I said, I'll take it.
Nice. There you go.
So Carlos, rest of this year, I know that you're looking for another round of funds. You want to talk about that and some partners or any folks that you would like to connect with from
Absolutely.
here on out? Okay.
Absolutely. And I'll start that off with, I don't know why the word fun is in fundraising, because it's not.
It's not.
It hasn't been in my experience. So if anyone out there, it has fun doing it, please contact me and show me the fun, because I haven't seen it. It's been challenging. And what we want to do is, we can negotiate. We understand that it's a challenging economic market. We understand that. And we understand that investors want options. We can provide data to support your threshold of where you want to go. But I'll say this, funding means progress. The amount of funding dictates how far that progress goes. That's why we can tell you, and we can say, well, we want to raise at this level. However, if we raised at this level, we can go here, because as I pointed out, the conversion that occurs with our technology, we can go to different levels because we engage the person, and we enable different opportunities that go far from security and that move far further from simple enabling the vehicles to support transportation. There are a lot of other things we can do that we don't have time to talk about, but that's where it's a dynamic process. It's a dynamic technology that has a long pathway of innovation, and we're prepared to talk to a funder about what those possibilities are, because I can tell you this, partners like Jeremy and the directions we can go in, everyone benefits. Everyone benefits. And why not? Right? Why shouldn't we?
Perfect. So if you are involved in the same type of work like what Jeremy's doing, and into construction or working in resorts and golf communities or private communities, or into boating communities or boat maker and golf cart vendor or producer or whatever, then these would be types of people that you would welcome to have a conversation with.
Absolutely.
Right?
And you see how that list, kept getting longer and longer?
Yeah.
It's versatile. And
Yeah.
and what I want to say is, in this versatile market, what we've achieved is a design that approaches agnosticism. That is the first key. The first step was, okay, can we touch the vehicle? Now, can we touch this breadth of vehicles that exist in this market? The answer is yes. So now we can go to the truly innovative minded partners and say, let's talk about what we know you're having trouble with. We know you only have visibility on selling. For example, if it's an OEM, we know you're having trouble on visibility past the product sold, right? You want to know what's happening on that product once it gets in the hand of your customer. Oh, and by the way, do you know what the users are doing, or who those users are that are using your vehicle? For example, in a fleet on a shift, but they didn't buy your vehicle. Wouldn't you like to talk to them because they're using your product? See, these are things that are happening elsewhere, but not here. So if they're an OEM, if they're a partner that manages fleets generally, if it's specific to construction and or transportation or fleets in the community or so forth, we're ready for that conversation, because different markets, different sectors, but the problems are very similar. And again, at the same issue that affects them all is that person. It always comes back to that person. And don't get me, like I said, we like tech, but we love people. So I don't want anyone to walk away thinking, wow, these guys think people are annoying. No, I didn't say that. I said people are great. No, I said people are great. People are just fun and they like to do stuff.
Require solutions.
Fun like fundraising, Karlos.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
that kind of fun.
We want to find the funding.
Kind of fun.
Yeah. And I said, help me find the fun in fundraising. I'm all ears. I haven't seen it. That's all.
I haven't found it yet either.
Let's get to that fun.
I agree.
Well, guys, we're going to tidy this up and I'm going to say goodbye to everybody else. You guys stay on for a second here. We're going to share with you, if you go to www.frontrunnersinnovate.com, if you're watching this on YouTube or one of our other channels, then go there, www.frontrunnersinnovate.com, and you will get this interview. You'll also get some information provided by Karlos that will share a little bit more about where he's on the market in the United States and how to connect with him, on LinkedIn and maybe through a website presence, that kind of thing. So be sure to go there. And I'm going to say thank you, Jeremy. You're awesome. Always good to have you on a call.
Thank
you guys stay with me, and I'm going to say goodbye, everybody else. See you on Frontrunners Innovate.
Thanks for having us on, Mary. We really appreciate it.